Okay, first of all, my latest video, or one of my latest videos, talking about subservient goys is banned from YouTube. I got banned the day after. Surprise, surprise. Talking about Jews or critiquing Jews is more offensive to these people than gore, than having like a decapitated girl in a video or whatever. So I'll just let you guys know. And that's why, I want as many people who see this to go on my BitChute channel. Because that's the place that isn't censored, at least not yet. I'll probably get there eventually. The entire internet is pretty much censored these days. But anyways. So, I'm going to put a timestamp so you can basically get to the meat of this video, or I'll put timestamps. But basically I want to start off with, there was a pretty good thread on incels.co about black incels, and by proxy it was about JBB as well. A lot of people don't know, like, black incels disassociate from the black community, because in order to be considered an authentic black man, you need to be a thug, actor, athlete, rapper, or maybe a businessman or politician. But those dudes who go that route are oftentimes considered cornballs, and like dudes, like rappers who didn't hit it big yet, and like actors or famous people. I have a lot of stories about like my people in my family, like aunts and shit, being hit on by like famous dudes before they were big. And oftentimes the dudes, they're kind of just looked at as corny, and I'm talking like big names, like big names that are like guys who are like a big deal in the black community, for better or worse, whether they deserve to be or not. But anyways, and they got rejected. The Jew media, and part of the reason I personally disassociate from black people, and I don't claim black, is because black people are an embarrassment. They're Jewish pawns pretty much. And there's some black groups and some black people that I like, but overall, most black people aren't on the sort of aware, enlightened sort of mentality, like say the Nation of Islam or something like that, which I don't associate with, but at least they're red pilled on a lot of things, and so are the Hebrew Israelites as well. But anyways, the Jew media promotes these unrealistic images of black men, but at no point in time has the nerdy black man been fetishized. I don't mean Tyson Bedford with hipster glasses on. I mean like Steve Urkel. Whereas nerdy white guys are fetishized by some girls. So, piece that together. Apex fallacy applies to black men really hard. No one pays attention to like the macroeconomics, or, whatever you want to call it. The vast majority of men, but especially black men, are undesirable to women. I'm pretty sure the Chad fishes show that Tyrone does worse than Chad. You're not considered a black man unless you fit into these categories. You're basically, the thug. If you don't fit into the thug, actor, athlete, whatever mold, you're null and void. Like, you don't exist. You're not even considered black, really. You're almost like an embarrassment to black people, and white people expectations are disappointed because we live in like a sort of caste system where every race has to play their role. Black people have to fit in that role, thug, actor, athlete, whatever, which is sort of like the opposite of what the white man does, which is like the civilized, put together kind of role. The like the father, the patriarch. The white man collectively is like the patriarch of Western society. And even people who who are SJWs and who hate these kinds of dynamics look at it like this. They just they'll never admit to it. So it's like benevolent, ironic racism. You know, the same SJW cunts screaming about Black Lives Matter really only care about Tyrone lives. You know, the black guy who talks properly and doesn't listen to mumble rap and smoke weed all day is like, he's like an ugly anomaly. He's an aberrant, and it disturbs normie protocols and presumptions to see somebody who goes against the grain and who breaks their expectations of what a particular person is supposed to be, because they can't categorize you easily in their heads. You know, their programming is like a system malfunction. Anyways, moving on. I didn't think I'd get to do a follow-up video to this so soon, but it's funny how things get spoken into existence. Literally, my video right before this one, you know, was about normies being judgmental and hypocritical. And literally the day after I made that video, the story I'm about to tell you is what happened. But first I want to address a comment somebody made on the first video, which is they basically said I'm a judgmental hypocrite or something like that, because, you know, I'm saying normies, I'm an abnormie because I'm judgmental and hypocritical as well. But here's the thing, there's some very distinct things about me and the normie, and here's what it is. I don't consider judgmentalness to be a bad thing. By and large, normies do. I just use that word as a buzzword. It's like clickbait, you know, to an extent as well. The same normies saying that it's bad to be judgmental judge people for being judgmental. But people like me acknowledge that it's normal to judge and that some behaviors need to be judged. But we live in like this kiked world where you're supposed to tolerate everything and not criticize anybody for anything. You know, God forbid you criticize a gay man for like jerking off in front of children or something, because that's bigoted. That's bigoted. You're criticizing their lifestyle, right? So here's some cornerstones of normie thought that separate non-normies from normies. And basically, you know, you could look these terms up for yourself if you want, but virtue signaling, doublethink, groupthink, shaming, strawmanning, just world fallacy, egoism, and materialism. Those are like the keystones of all normie thought. And if I'm like that, by all means point it out, but I don't think I am. So I just wanted to kind of address that a little bit first. So moving on though, like, okay, so a few things are more annoying than unsolicited advice from someone who doesn't know anything. This girl that I'm about to talk about, and I don't mean to single her out, it's just that she caught me at the right time where I was kind of like pissed off, which, I mean, I always am, I guess, but she epitomized, I'm not trying to single this person out, but she epitomized everything I hate about normies pretty much in a very short conversation. She wanted to play the concerned citizen, you know, concerned about my mental health and all this shit, instead of just straight up talking shit. You know, I've had people straight up talk shit to me, and, you know, I'm fine, whatever, if that's what you choose to do. But I don't like the fact that this girl put effort into her troll and like tried to play both sides, tried to pretend to be like moral and concerned, but at the same time she's like talking shit to me and giving me like essentially lying to me about, you know, what in her eyes makes me unattractive, and in a lot of women's eyes. So normophoids in particular live in a glass ivory house, and they throw boulders at people so they can feel better about themselves. But if you so much as throw a pebble, you know, then all hell breaks loose and their egos are shattered. You know, as soon as somebody starts climbing that ivory tower, that's when they start panicking, you know, but meanwhile they want to try to bully people. And like normies love doing this too. It's like a constant pattern I've seen throughout my entire life. They're basically looking for an easy kill to boost their self-esteem. You know, it's like how animals prey on those who look smaller than them. but they don't know, they probably don't know that frog is poisonous, or that porcupine has spikes or whatever. People do the same thing socially. They look for easy targets. Criminals do that, obviously. So normies do this socially. They look for easy kills to boost their self-esteem. They kind of want to beat you into submission. But if you start fighting back, then it's like, oh shit. Same thing with bullies too. Like as soon as you start fighting back against the bully, then the bully becomes a little bitch, basically. Oftentimes, I'm not 100% of the time, but you know what I mean. So basically, this girl saw me at like some stupid event that was happening around here. I just happened to be riding by, and I saw a bunch of people. I was riding my bike or whatever. I was just like, oh, I guess something's going on here. I actually looked it up. I saw it on the list of events happening or whatever, but I didn't know it was happening that particular day, and I was riding by, on my way to somewhere else, that I didn't end up going. But I see a bunch of people, so I'm going there, and I'm walking around and stuff. I saw some barbecue and some barbecue and shit, but it was a kid event. Like I live in an area that's very family oriented, so there's not like too much to do, at least not officially or publicly, for like public events for like a older person or an adult. So and I see this girl, and I'm thinking, I've probably seen her on Tinder. That happens. It's a small town or whatever. And she obviously saw me. And so, I just go home. And the next day, it's like, I get randomly matched with her. And then she gives me like this long spiel, which I'm going to get into, like this long spiel of advice. And, what I need to do. I need to fix my fashion. And, I'll get into that. But basically, advice from women is useless. Like, a fish can't teach you how to fish, like they say. Women live in a privileged bubble. Like, they have no idea what it actually takes. And, oftentimes they're perfectly happy to lie to you, lie to your face. I remember when I was a kid and I asked my sister for advice about girls. I was probably like 10 years old or something like that. And she's like, just tell her she has pretty eyes, And it's like, of course I love my sister. That's like family, right? But that exemplifies female advice right there that they give us. They don't know what it actually takes. Before I even bothered to look at this girl's social media that I'm going to get into, I called her ex's exact height and his race. Pretty much his exact height. Give or take an inch. But I think I'm pretty spot on. It seems like she basically just leapt on the first guy she could find that was taller than her, because this girl is, according to her, 6'3" and like 23 or 24 years old or something. So she's used to talking down to people, but I wasn't having that shit. And I hope one of her kids turns out to be incel. But, knowing how oblivious and unempathetic mothers are, she won't know or even care if that's the case. She'll just comfort herself with the delusion, or the Christ cope, or the God cope. Comfort herself with the delusion that her child is off somewhere living great. Meanwhile, they're, drinking vodka by the liter and considering suicide every single day, like learning how to tie nooses and shit. But like normies hate to think that they brought a miserable life into the world, and I've gotten into this before. But I know single motherhood is normalized in this shit society that we live in, but no single mother has the right to give me advice. I'm sorry. Like, your shitty choices directly affected 3 people, likely for the worst. And my life might be shit, but like at least I can say I didn't bring anybody else into this shitstorm. So one more note before I start reading the actual exchange. I had to screenshot all that shit because women hate being called out on their shit, and they will delete the chat, as soon as they'll try to get the last word and then delete the chat like the little children that they are. So I was screenshotting that shit the whole way through, because they always run with their tail between their legs after they get called out and rhetorically fucked up, basically. Because, like I said, they're throwing boulders from an ivory tower. But as soon as somebody starts climbing the tower or starts throwing pebbles at them, their ego is just completely shattered. It's like they find identity, They seek identity in basically bullying other people, or trying to. Anyways, it's not the, so basically, like, I was talking about how she's giving me fashion advice and all this shit, which, but anyways, it's not the clothes, it's the person wearing them. You know, this girl did not like me because I didn't fit the mold that I was talking about previously. Meanwhile, all the girls that I've been with loved my sense of fashion, or lack thereof. You know, as hard as that might be to imagine, because I'm anti-fashion, basically. So, it's not the clothes, it's the person wearing them. One girl in particular loved the fact that I wasn't a try-hard or a hype beast, and specifically said she got her sense of fashion from me. Some people like that, you know, but again, it's not even about that. It's about the person wearing the clothes. I just throw random shit on, and like, I'm not a try-hard, I'm not a hype beast, I'm not a fashion person. I don't give a shit about that. I wear the same fucking clothes every single day. But anyways, like, you think girls really give a shit when they're pulling Chad's boxers off to suck his dick? Like, you really think your girl's doing that, and then she's like, oh my god, this isn't Gucci? Or like, she sees his socks, you know, right before she's about to suck his dick, and she's like, oh my god, you don't have baboon baton socks on? Really? I can't do this. Like, come on, am I really supposed to believe this? It's like, we're really gonna act like homeless, bummy, abusive, criminal dudes don't get laid just because they look good, you know? Like, I always have to talk about one of my female friends, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And there was this Chad who was a model that she was obsessed with, and like, so many people were obsessed with this guy, and he smelled like fucking shit. Like, and she specifically chose to start smelling like shit just because this Chad smelled like shit. And probably the reason that he smelled like that is because people don't care. Like, when you're Chad, you can literally walk around smelling like shit, and people will still look at you like you're amazing. You know, meanwhile, like, a sub-7 black dude walking around with freaking, like, the best world-class perfume is not going to be looked at as fondly, not nearly as the garbage dump smelling Chad. So, normies really just insult us by trying to lie to us like this. But anyways, I'm gonna get into like the whole text exchange. And there was a thread about this that I made on incels.co. I don't know if I want to link to it or not, but you know, it's there if you really want to if you really want to try to find it. I used the word fashion in the OP title or something like that. But anyways, so, and this is going to be a little scrambled, so bear with me. I didn't manage to get these things in proper order. So basically, shit, let me try to find this real quick. Okay, so this is the first text. Hi, I just wanted to match you because I think you look sad in your pics. And you should be happy. You got a big head, yeah, but it doesn't mean you're not handsome. You just need some better swag, wear cool hats. I personally think PacSun, starts to recommend a particular clothing store. Copy the mannequins, doesn't spell mannequins right, unless I'm missing something here. Make your butt look good. Are you wow. I'm kind of just noticing that she said that. Wow. Put on some Vans, really. And then she says, I hope you're not offended. So you see clear, like, I'm clearly being shit on. Like, she's probably laughing with her friends about this shit as she's writing this. And you notice the condescending tone as well. Like, this is the normie need to, like, feel superior to other people and, like, condescend to them and pretend like they know what they're talking about and, like, try to take the moral high ground, like, everything, So that's the first text. And the second one is, or the second screenshot is, I'm just saying you're not, this is my part, I'm saying I'm not offended, you're just wrong, fashion doesn't make a difference. And I basically say, like, this is the black pill stuff that actually makes that what attraction is actually based on. I would have said money and status as well, but that's like You guys probably know my opinion on that. It's not so much the man himself that they're attracted to when they're attracted to money and status. It's just the money and status. But anyways, and I said I don't take advice from single mothers. So, and this is the part where it gets a little scrambled, because, you know, I didn't manage to get these things in order, and I guess I'm too lazy to do so. So, anyways, she says, so your mom isn't a single mother? And then she says, so how do you know I wasn't going to make you my 9th boyfriend? Because, yeah, that's so fucking flattering. Like, how do you even say something like that with a straight face? Like, yeah, I want to be the 9th guy in that fucking multi-year snail's pace gangbang. I'm just saying, when you look good, you feel good. So she's basically saying I don't look good and I need to, like, fraud with clothes that don't change my appearance at all. You know, in other words, try to do what women do and, like, wear makeup and stuff. This is kind of how they project. You need to see your full potential and you need more confidence, blah, blah, blah. Always with the confidence meme, too. She doesn't know anything about my level of confidence because she doesn't know me. She just assumes that I'm not confident because she doesn't find me attractive. See how that works, right? And I basically say I wouldn't take advice from my mother either. You know, my mother was widowed anyways. So, like, that situation was a little more complicated than just being a single mom who wanted to get back on the cock carousel. Misery loves company, she says, blah, blah, blah. You know, more virtue signaling bullshit. And I say, well, the reason I didn't know that you wanted me to be your 9th boyfriend is because you basically opened up with this condescending bullshit. And then she says, oh, I see a lot of sadness in your eyes, blah, blah, blah. You know, in your pictures, you look sad, blah, blah, blah. You know, she's talking about it like what exactly makes me look sad and why is that even consequential? Like, women don't care if Chad looks sad in a picture. If anything, when Chad looks sad, they're like, oh my God, do you need a girlfriend? You need a blowjob, Chad? But if a guy like me looks sad, quote unquote, then it's like, oh, you know, you need to update your swag and your fashion, like using these black guy terms and lingo and shit. Like, when these women think about black dudes, they think about like their favorite ghetto rapper or like the Tyrone criminal that they dated in the past, or like, you know, an athlete or something like that. They don't think about regular black guys at all. We're just not on the radar. We don't really exist to them. And she says, in every pic, but meanwhile, like, I was actually smiling in one of my pics, and it's proven that women don't like it. Women like it more when men don't smile in pics. So, you know, there's that. They say one thing, but they do the exact opposite. And, you know, more God cope bullshit. I'll be praying for you. I'm sorry I haven't said anything. Yeah, because she couldn't steamroll me with her normie virtue signaling, and I called it out immediately. I said I didn't come to Tinder for prayers or well wishes. I obviously came here for some ass. Unless you're going to give me that, like, move on. Like, fuck off. God works in mysterious ways. God isn't real. I've kind of gone into, like, I just wanted to troll her, like, because I do kind of believe in God in, like, some unorthodox way. I've gone into that in my channel before. Anyways. And I said, you're acting like you're my auntie, but I'm older and wiser than you. So that kind of goes back into the whole thing about the fact that this girl is tall. She's probably used to talking down to people and just like steamrolling people because they're intimidated by her or whatever. And she's a girl, you know, so she's already in that ivory tower, which is defended by like countless cucks and like the cuck society that we live in overall. God wants me to talk to him more, blah, blah, blah. And I said, God isn't real. Not even on some fuck the world shit. It's just an illogical belief. And then she, you know, more pseudo-spiritual femoid bullshit. I haven't risen high enough yet in my human suit. This bitch just heard that somewhere and, like, it sounded good to her, so she decided to repeat it. And I did look at her profile a little bit. It's too cringe for me. Like, I can't tolerate it too much, so I didn't see too much. But I did scroll through her Instagram a little bit. And she's saying, I said, oh, you must be a new age pagan or some shit. And she says, I don't know what pagan means. And then I basically get down to brass tacks. Like, bottom line is I'm insulted by virtue signaling women. She probably doesn't know what that means either. But, she wants to give me advice like she's the wise one, right? And you should be ashamed. If women really cared about dudes like me, you would fuck dudes like me. I was kind of hesitant about saying that, but it's like, it's the truth, obviously. These women, they really cared. They fuck dudes like me. Find me one thing that does more for the psyche of a depressed virgin or a depressed incel or normie more than sex. You can't name a single thing. There's not a drug. There's basically nothing that exceeds significantly the moral boost that a man gets from sex. And this goes into what I was saying in a previous video about only people who underrate sex and try to downplay it are people who either have it regularly or have sort of shut themselves off to it and are kind of innocent of it, I guess you could say. Innocent of the sort of addiction to it. And that goes into something else, which is an analogy that I made about the only difference between a normie who gets laid every so often and an incel is that the normie gets let outside of the cage every so often to play, and then they get dragged back into the cage. And then they have to wait like a whole 2 years or something before they can get out the cage again. But for a true cell virgin, the cage is their only reality. They don't know anything else. So in that sense, it's actually kind of better. Like, I certainly kind of do still wish I was a virgin. I was still innocent of all what I was missing out on, basically. And I basically say, sex would cure depression more than any empty words. And, she said, this kind of jumps ahead a little bit, but she says, oh, I was trying to be polite and you want to be mad that I'm a single mom because I called her on that shit. And she's like, oh, their daddy's around them 24/7, like typical Tyrone roasty leftover, go off sad boy, more wannabe thug black boy slang. My attitude sucks. I could be pulling bitches. Like, come on now. And I was talking about, oh, your true colors came out. Like I was saying, like, you throw a pebble and their ego, they start lashing out on you. And, they're not playing trying to take the moral high ground anymore. And they do it instantly too, almost. They instantly start showing their true colors. And, going back to the whole thing about sex being a cure, she says, that's where you're wrong. Sex is a temporary fix. And then I said, the fuck it is. And, as far as like, when I was like, if women cared, like you cared, you'd fuck dudes like me. And she says, I'm not fucking Megamind. Like, basically making fun of my head shape, basically. Which you can only see from the side. Like, you guys don't really see it in my videos. Maybe if you really watch one of my videos and you like see me turn to the side or whatever. But yeah, I have been teased about that a lot when I was growing up and stuff. Some people say, oh no, you don't have a big head, blah blah blah, which I don't. I mean, strictly speaking, I don't. It's more so the shape that people make fun of. Which, funny enough, like, Egyptians used to do that head binding thing where they try to shape their heads like that. And incels say having a big head is a good thing, but it's more about shape. Having a big head can be a good thing, but it's more about the shape of the head. Anyways, like how they used to call the Norwegian square heads because they had like big square heads. But anyways, I was trying to help you realize you could be pulling bitches, blah blah blah. Okay, we already covered that. And she says, you should be happier, blah blah blah. Okay, we already went into that. And then I started talking about how, women love abusive criminals and, there are plenty of homeless stinking dudes, who get laid. And blah blah blah. And she's, then she says, have you ever left Tennessee or the United States? And I'm like, duh, like, clearly this girl thinks I'm some idiot. And it's like, I'm from New York, and I've left the country enough times, like, but again, they're like, she's completely deflecting and trying to place blame on me and not on the absurd standards of women, as if it's something I'm doing wrong. Like, oh, okay, I need to go fly overseas then? Like, really? Come on. Meanwhile, the 1 out of 10, 300, 600 pound roastie doesn't have to do shit. She can just sit on her ass. And, some self-loathing normie who's afraid to die alone will shack up with her. It reminds me of a date. I'll probably talk about this in a future video, but I just haven't found the right place to do so yet. But I went on a Tinder date recently with a prostitute, quote-unquote sugar baby. Same fucking thing. And this girl was telling me about how, I probably mentioned this in a previous video, but she's like, I had to sleep, telling me how she had to sleep with this Chad. I don't sleep with people. I don't sleep with people. Meanwhile, she has a kid that was born from a quote-unquote date rape scenario. And, she tells me the story about this dude she just had to bang, even though she quote-unquote doesn't fuck people because he was so beautiful and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, all right, this is just a one-time thing. Like, Chad just gets it that easily, man. It's fucking so annoying. But, really, I wanted to talk about this Brazilian dude that is apparently one of her sugar daddies. And, by the way, like, I'm not proud that I went on a date with this fucking bitch, but I was so starved for, like, outside human interaction that I did. And I was actually considering, paying for, like, a quickie or whatever, but I always choose against it because I just can't make sense of it at the end of the day, paying a woman for sex. But anyways, she's telling me about this Brazilian dude that's, like, apparently very attractive. They don't even have sex. She doesn't even have sex with him. And, like, he pays her to, like, travel with him and, like, do all this fucking cool shit and, like, pays for her friend. And it's like, how, do guys like me have a chance when, like, good looking dudes are treating women like this without so much as asking for sex in return? It's like, the game is so fucking skewed. And you know what else? I was watching a funny interview with Nick Cannon, that faggot. I always think of him and I think, well, like, he was a horrible rapper. And I don't know how that dude got famous. But anyways, like, all the little girls when I was growing up like Nick Cannon. And anyways, with the interview, he's talking about how, if a woman's with me, she doesn't have to work. And, like, it's like, damn, like, this is the kind of cuck who has a lot of money and who is decent looking that women are watching. Like, women are watching and they're listening and they're like, every woman is going to see shit like that. And they have Instagram now to boost their ego and all that shit with all these cucks. I know this is a huge tangent, but I'm almost done. And, like, they see that. They see guys like Nick Cannon. Woman doesn't have to work if she's with me. She's a queen. I want to serve women. I need to provide. Nothing gives me greater joy than protecting and providing for a woman. Women just see that, and then, like, the bar, even for ugly women, like, the bar just goes that much higher, and anything less than that is like trash to them. For women, it's either you're trash or you're, like, king of the world. It can, like, there's no in between. But anyways, that's enough of that whole tangent I just went off on. So I basically said, that's another presumption. If a guy has to change his fashion up, then he already lost. He's already considered unattractive. I dress like someone's uncle from the 90s. If anything, I look like someone's uncle from the 90s. But whatever. This is from a person who was basically just an overgrown sperm in the 90s, assuming her Tinder age is correct. And then she basically admits to being a fraud. I was trying to be nice. I felt bad for you. Like, I don't want your pity, bitch. I don't need your fucking pity. Fuck. But you don't even try. See, just the fact that I would even have to says it all right there, doesn't it? And who's to say I don't try? It's another thing. Anyways, that about wraps this whole thing up. She basically ended it. She's like, good luck finding someone. That was the last text. And then she unmatched me. But luckily, I already had it all screenshotted. Because I'm not making that mistake again. Because this isn't the first conversation like this that I've had. And it's like when you call these bitches out, they just scurry away with their tail between their legs. You know? Like, women love that. They want to be able to, like, quietly attack people. Like, they want the quiet kill. You know? Without being held accountable for their words and the things that they say to people. You know? But anyways, that concludes this video. Make sure to go on my BitChute. YouTube is fucking cucked. The entire internet is cucked, and it's just a censorship parade now. So that's all.